All right, so I don't usually do these types of content. It's not, predicated on my channel or anything like that. But I just felt so compelled to talk about Gary Vee because I was watching a video of his, and then I just had to stop and then just record myself, talking through what he does because it's just so crazy. I mean, the things that he does isn't revolutionary in a sense, right? He just plays the market. He just plays what's what's working. He doesn't predict it. He just an early he doesn't predict the market, but he more so is an early mover onto certain markets, right? So, there's just a lot to cover with Gary Vee. So, in terms of marketing, he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. It's very cliche, but when you go really deep into what he does, you understand, like, wow, why can't I see the game like he does, right? And I'm just going to make a comparison, which he's going to hate so much because I know he hates the Patriots. But just like how Tom Brady can see the field now as a quarterback and just see certain plays happening, that's what Gary Vee does with, business, marketing, and all that. So if you know Gary, you know he is gonna hate that analogy if he ever watches this video and stuff like that. But so breakdown. Let's see. Who is Gary Vee? What is he? What does he do? He's pretty much, if you don't know who he is, which I'd be surprised if you haven't, if you use social media, I'd be surprised if you haven't heard of him. But if you haven't, he's a entrepreneur, marketer. He's like the face of entrepreneurship right now. So I have like these little notes that I'm just gonna refer to because it's just easier to track what I think because he's doing a lot of things at once, but he's very macro and micro at the same time, which is insane because his team does a really good job with following his vision. So Gary right now, I wrote down he like understands the market. So he understands, what marketing is, what works, what doesn't work, and then he just plays in that market. What he does really well is not only does he play in the market, but he understands that it's also important to jump on and be an early adopter into other marketing platforms, right? So he talks about his failed adventures in Vidler and other social media apps that didn't work. He was an early adopter, but it just didn't work out. But that doesn't faze him because the things he learned there, he can use in other places. So he talks a lot about, musically, he was into that and then turned into TikTok. So he's talking about TikTok a lot now. But he's not afraid to jump on these new trends because he knows that, if you jump on these new trends and they don't work, sure, you may have lost, some of your time. But if, let's say, 1 out of 10 work out and you're an early adopter, in this day and age, that's really huge. And you can just blow up. So he's not really trying to predict what's going to be hot. He's just playing on every new thing. So he's already there creating real estate. So when it does blow up, he has a foundation to scale that into, higher and higher, higher revenue, or just scale it on a higher level, right? So if I'm trying to think, so he does Daily V. I think that's what, his before the podcast, I think Daily V was his really, main content generating source, right? So he talks about long form creating micro content throughout the whole thing. And so Daily V became, it used to be, I think, really long form, but now his podcast is now the long form content. And it's a triple threat because he talks about how podcasts you can pull out, maybe an IG post there, a LinkedIn post, a Facebook post, and if you are, filming the podcast, that's YouTube content right there also. So it's an easier way to do YouTube content without the Daily V, because Daily V takes a lot of editing, while podcast, you just film it and it pretty much does the same thing. Maybe it's not as attractive, but you're not really doing for the attractiveness at this point. If you're starting out, you're trying to build the content and the reach and all these different platforms, right? And so, with his podcast, he can also, snip it off of that and then put it into TikTok also, TikTok form. Right, which is crazy. So not only is long form creating micro content, these micro content is also important. It's because it's the hook, right? In any English essay or anything, you want a hook to really bring new people into your content and then bring them to the long form so they understand more about who you are. So now he's just, at this point, he's playing reach and depth at the same time, which is insane. Like his team, he does a really great job of, with this team. I think, I can't say anything because he already knows, right, what he's doing really well because he's creating content. But he says he's not creating enough content. And it's just insane for me to think, like, what else is he missing, right? Because he's posting IG, LinkedIn, Facebook. Does he want to push, 5 times a day to 10 times a day on each platform? Because that's a lot. But he says, got to keep going hard. Scale. And so, yeah, that's what he's doing. And then he talks about, watch what he does, which is just another way to say why does he post certain things, right? Especially, I follow his Instagram a lot. So for his Instagram formats, I've seen him go from no subtitles to subtitles, no video. I don't know if you noticed, but sometimes his videos, IG, have that like red line going all around his video to signal the length of the video. He's played with, recently he's done a lot of IG posts that finish on his IGTV itself. So I think that's pretty interesting. He's pushing that a lot now. And then he has a lot of stories with swipe ups, content there too. Yeah, you can definitely see why he posts like certain times of the day too. Like, why does he post at that time? How many times does he post a day? So if you want to follow Gary Vee, you just do exactly what he does. It's pretty much like why. Not only do you just do what he does, but understand why he does it. It's because there's a better engagement for his audience. Is it, connecting more, stuff like that. And so Gary Vee right now, he himself is building his brand, right? And his brand equals trust because he is giving really good advice free. He believes in, I think what was it, 5149? Maybe more. Giving more than you receive, putting a lot of money on the table, because good is always ROI positive, being the better person, being good, being nice, right? Always ROI positive. And then the crazy and like the thing that just blows my mind even more is because he's not even like, sure, he's marketing, right? And so that's like the crux of his job and how he makes, his business, his marketing ad agency. right? Like that's his business, but that's not his end game, because he talks about it very, very, not discreetly, but he talks about it a lot, how he wants to create this Death Star of a marketing machine. So if you think right now what he's doing is insane, it's not even the end goal or the end game for him right now. He's still in the first quarter. He's just building the foundation, right? Because it's not, these social media like Facebook or Instagram or being big on any of those. That's not his end game. His end game is learning these platforms, building a reputation on these platforms. So when they go bust, which they probably will eventually do, he has a name for himself, which he can bring to other platforms. And now think about this. So now he has, this influencer status, right? Just how Logan Paul could go from Vine to YouTube and bring his following and his content and create, a buzz on YouTube after, Vine shut down. Gary Vee is doing that with every single platform. So not only is he going to get his, Vine or YouTube or LinkedIn or TikTok followers to follow him to a different platform if they ever go bust, but he's also going to use that to leverage new followers on that new platform, because they're going to be like, oh, okay, so now we have someone we know, and just like grow from there. Because he's just creating, it's like that, the snake game, right? Where you just like eat and get longer and bigger and bigger. So that's what he's doing, right? So not only is he creating all these different strategies on all these different platforms and learning, and not only is he gaining followers on all this, he's going to turn in his ad agency into like a mega Death Star. So what I mean by that is that now, if a brand ever falls, right, any big brand, I'm talking about like Adidas, Nike, Coca-Cola, maybe Forever 21, right? Let's take Forever 21 for example. They're going bankrupt. I think they're gonna fall. If Gary Vee wanted to, he can buy Forever 21, that brand, for a cheap price, bring it into his Death Star of an ad machine. I'm talking crazy, right? He already knows the marketing. He'll remarket and brand Forever 21 in either two ways, either into something different, or hold on to it and then maybe play for like a nostalgia play, something like that. Maybe not like go for it right away, hold on to it maybe 5 years, 10 years, and then bring it out as like a nostalgia play and get more people to Forever 21. Totally change the image and just, really go for like the older generation. Because nostalgia is huge right now. In marketing, nostalgia is huge. Just look at Disney, Marvel, any of them playing on the comic books, or any of the old Disney movies like Simba. Are you serious? The Lion King. Nostalgia is huge. Always going to be a huge play. So yeah, think about that. So if Gary Vee wanted to, if Forever 21 is cheap enough real estate for Gary Vee to invest in, he can buy the whole thing, the whole brand, put it into his ad Death Star, and then just market that on every single platform in such a way that it's just, right? Because he already has a brand on each platform. So if he wanted to, really, he can just be like, he promotes his own stuff, right? The smaller version of Gary Vee is, let's just say you build, I guess, like an Instagram page, right? Let's say you build a fitness Instagram page. So let's say you build that fitness Instagram page. You grow it to 1 million followers. And then if you wanted to, sell fitness clothes on that Instagram page. So not only did you just build a following, you can market to your audience with that following, with a brand of clothing line that you wanted to sell to your fitness audience. So that's what the Gary Vee is doing but at a larger scale. But he's not selling yet. No, he's not. He's not selling to his audience. He doesn't need to. That's what he says. Because selling to your audience, I think what he says will diminish, the value of the audience. So I think he's just using his branding right now just to learn what everything is. So when it does come time to buy a brand, he doesn't use himself as a marketing billboard. He just uses his ad agency and what he learned from all these different platforms to just market on these. So he himself have to market the brand. His company can just do it through these platforms, knowing the strategies, knowing what works, knowing what doesn't, and then just turn Forever 21 into a profiting machine. That's just crazy. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I think that's it. I think that might be the end game. That probably is the end game. I might be off. Maybe that's like the second quarter. I can't see the end game for Gary. I don't know what he wants to do with all this attention. You know what I mean? Like, why does he want so much attention? Why? It's not money. Well, maybe money is byproduct, right? There's got to be a reason why he wants so much attention. Because attention equals conversion. It just blows my mind because he's pushing so much, and the thing is, he's not even reached I think 1% of the population. Well, I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. Even though he's pushing so hard on social media and marketing, a lot of people still don't know who he is. There we go. So, I still don't think, maybe in America, I feel like in America, he probably has that market dominant, but I think he still hasn't found a way to reach certain demographics yet. Right? So I'm talking about, I know Gary Vee can probably hit on TikTok. No, what I'm saying, hip hop demographic, immigrants. I'm just trying to think in my circle, the reason why he hasn't hit it yet. So I'm talking about like Asian demographic, or North. I'm just saying, why hasn't he hit certain demographics? It's crazy. Oh, it's late. I don't know what I'm saying half the time. But yeah, so this is just my thoughts. I mean, if I were to provide any value to Gary Vee, I don't think there is anything I can really say. Maybe this ending part would be a pitch. I'm trying to think, what can he do to increase his range to certain demographics? Gary doesn't want to run for president, does he? I feel like if he really wanted to, he could. But he's just, no, that's not what he wants. I don't think so. Man, all right, I'm trying to think. So he has, what else can he do? He's done everything in terms of what I can think. Community, play. The only thing that he doesn't have is time, right? He can't do everything. Can't really do everything. Because so he talks about his truth a lot. So I think the reason why he hasn't hit certain demographics yet is because his truth doesn't align with those demographics. Right? I'm not just saying anything that's bad. I'm just saying because he has a certain way with stuff. Those, ways that he has doesn't click with certain people. Let's talk Asian parents, for example, right? So, Asian kids may relate to Gary Vee, but Asian parents may not, because his truth is the polar opposite of what most Asian parents think. So if you follow Gary Vee's content a lot, you'll probably understand what I'm talking about. But if you don't, then to make a long story short, it's pretty much Gary Vee talks about getting off your parents' payroll, stop relying on them. If you really want to do what you want to do, then do it. Get a job and then follow your passion. Live with how many people, and then just have that difficult conversation with your parents, right? But Asian parents, that's a little tougher because they grew up, in a family-oriented environment in which the patriarchy and matriarchy, mom and pop has the higher say in what the kid does, and so that pressure is just too huge. And so these kids can relate to Gary more so than the parents, because the parents can't relate. And so I think that's a huge demographic that I think Gary will have probably a difficult time reaching. I just can't see a way for him to connect with them right away. Especially immigrant generation parents, because I know his parents were immigrants, but they had him as a son, so they understand how Gary Vee thinks, right? So, but other Asian immigrant parents, it's a little tougher. It's harder to wrap their head around certain marketing strategies, stuff like that. But yeah, that was just a long rant. Way too long. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Gary Vee. How he's playing chess while everyone's playing checkers. It's insane. Just the way he thinks is insane. In terms of marketing, right? He understands. He just thinks at a different speed. But yeah, all right. That's pretty much it. It's my little rant. Appreciating Gary Vee. He does his thing. Yeah.